With the introduction, I'll like to introduce our speakers to our participants, and we are delighted to have three speakers with us today. So, before we move ahead, I would like to start with a small introduction about Manage Center for Innovation and Agripreneurship, and then I will go ahead and hand over the session to our speakers. A very good morning to everyone, to all the participants and speakers, and our co-host and host from Manage CIA. So welcome to our 167th webinar of Saturday webinar series. I am Pragya Mishra. I am working as business executive at Manage Center for Innovation and Agripreneurship. As we embark on today's session, I would like to provide a brief overview of our center and then going ahead with this webinar series. So Manage CIA stands as a center of excellence in agribusiness incubation, situated at National Institute of Agricultural Extension Management, MANAGE. As a prominent agribusiness incubator in India, our center has guided 754 entrepreneurs and nurtured over 383 startups across diverse agricultural sectors. Our center has trained startups in crucial areas such as agri-processing, post-harvest technology, value addition, farm mechanization, animal husbandry, fisheries, dairy commodity trading, supply chain management, and agri-consultancy. Providing street-first support, Manage CIA has played a key role in assisting agripreneurs in refining their concepts and expanding their ventures. This Saturday webinar series by Manage CIA aims to extend its reach and service to a larger audience of agri entrepreneurs across India. And this is conducted every Saturday, and it covers a wide array of topics featuring speakers from diverse domains. So today's session focuses on Agri-Startup Support from NBFCs, and we are honored to have three speakers with us, joining us today. So I'll introduce our first speaker for today's session, Mr. Mahmood Hussain, Vice President, NAB Kisan Finance Limited, a subsidiary of NABARD. Mr. Mahmood has more than 6 years of working experience in rural development sector. His focuses as Vice President of NAB Kisan lies in spearheading the implementation of government of Tamil Nadu schemes to uplift farmer producer companies with a track record of reaching out to over 200 FPCs and benefiting more than 2 lakh farmers. And he brings 5 years of expertise from NABARD's off-farm sector development initiatives. His accomplishments include crafting policies, guidelines for diverse projects. Mr. Hussain has particularly excelled in the promotion and development of off-farm producer companies alongside pioneering marketing strategies for rural products. So with this brief introduction, I would like to hand over the session to our first speaker. Hello, Mahmood sir. Sir, you're not audible. Sir, we are unable to hear you, sir.
Mr. Mahmood, can you hear us? Okay, sir, I think it's better join again, sir, because we cannot hear. I think there must be some problem with access to mic.
Yeah, if hi Himanshu here. I'm going to use a laptop mic rather than earphone because I was also facing the same issue. Then I disconnected.
Yes, sir. We have that issue with the earphone, other product speaking. I think
team will contact him, sir. I think he left. He'll probably join again. We'll start, sir. Already we are 6 minutes into the webinar. So let's give the sharing to Himanshu, sir. Let him start.
So it says can't share the content. So I have some.
Now you can share, sir. One moment, sir. I've given you, sir. You can share now.
Okay. Yeah.
Use chat while during the presentation is going on. So based on the relevance to the topic, we'll be taking up with the panelists. Yes, sir. Please
Yeah.
start, sir.
So is my screen visible?
Good to go, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Your screen is visible. Sir, I would like to give an introduction to our
Go ahead.
participants.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Since we are having a problem with our first speaker, I would like to introduce our second speaker, Mr. Himansu, sir. Himansu Vagela, sir. He's manager, agriculture finance at Friends of Women's World Banking. He has 13 years of rich experience in livelihood, social enterprise, and microfinance domains. Currently working with Friends of Women's World Banking India as manager of agriculture finance program. He has assessed and monitored more than 100 organizations located in various states of India. These organizations are agricultural producer companies, savings and credit cooperatives, handicraft producer companies, weaving organizations, and Section 8 companies, social startups, etc., and mainly involved in agriculture and microfinance activities. So, with this short introduction, I would like to hand over the session to Sir.
Thank you. Thanks, Pragya. So, hi, hello everyone. This is Himanshu. So, I'll take you through the small presentation on FWB and then the agriculture startup. So, currently, it is just a short introduction. FW was registered in 1981 by Srimati Ilaben Bhatt. She was Guardian, and it was one of the early movers in microfinance sector. So we were the first microfinance. We are known as a microfinance sector builder. So after the currently we are working in for two thematic areas: capacity building, catalytic funding. In capacity building, we work with women enterprise, agriculture, climate resilience, and skill building of women entrepreneurship. And we also take up other need-based interventions. In terms of catalytic funding, we are providing we have four major thematic areas, out of which one of the flagship program is agriculture finance, which I will talk in detail. Second one is water and sanitation. Third, solar energy, and fourth, women micro business. So in with this agriculture and water and sanitation, solar energy and women micro business are our main catalytic funding programs. So we started agriculture finance program in 2007 by supporting small FPOs. They were FPC concept was not there at that time. So we supported my cooperatives, Andhra-based cooperative registered under AP Max Act, and it was they were working in groundnut. That's how we started. We expanded in 2011. So we were the first early movers in FPO and agriculture financing. We are creating sustainable eco FPOs by providing the credit and capacity building services, because through our 40 years of rich experience, we have observed that without credit and capacity building as well as credit should go hand in hand. Both should complement each other. So that's how we build the microfinance sector. Same role we want to play in agriculture, or let's say FPO sector. We have more than 170 crores. Right now it's 180 to 143 institutions. We have flexible repayment schedule, terms, cash flow based financing. Tenure is based on cycle. These are all product detail. So I'll just take you through this our approach. So we spend a lot of time with institutions to understand their requirement. It helps them to understand their potential also. Like we have observed in even in startups also, agri startup, their projections or business plan, or it's very optimistic. So when you sit with them, draw down, you narrow it to down to the target, small target. Then they also realize their potential, and accordingly we design the loan product. We are mainly doing value chain financing. We also provide seasonal and short-term loan. A loan against specific approach is also there. So in terms of agri startup, what are the main challenges? So one of the main challenge for agri startup is farmer mobilization, because farmers, they are doing their agriculture activity from ages, and it's based on trust only, whether it's input trader or output market. Everything is unwritten rules are there. So it's difficult to win the trust of farmers, and to convince them, it's become very challenging for new startup which are recently registered and try to work for farmers as well as climate, mainly triple bottom line companies. They find it difficult to convince the farmers. Then low equity and lack of seed fund, like small and fixed grant are available, but it is very limited to that extent. And this kind of startup which are looking at providing passing benefit to farmers, it becomes difficult to get the seed funding, and that's why they have low equity base. Lack of proper accounting, because we work with small and small scale enterprises, so which is run by individuals and all, and women also. So their accounting system, governance system, their legal compliances are very weak. Lack of clear business model is also one of the challenge, because mainly startup are oriented towards procurement and trading, and they are unable to connect to various other stakeholders in value chain. And that's how they initially they get success, but when they reach to that scale, then it's become very difficult for them to manage their operations. So that is from the beginning one should have clear business model. After that, low margins and slow turnaround of profits. As I was mentioning that they are passing the benefit to the farmers. In that particular process, their procurement cost, their handling cost, their customer acquisition cost, like convince farmer, you need to visit them, you need to conduct lot of workshop, concept sharing workshop, you need to make them understand. In that whole process, lot of costs are involved. Hence, the in trading margins are anyway low, and slow turnaround profit is also there. So hence the reluctant of investor is very much there. It's like investors are not ready to be with them for longer period of time. That's how they tend to lose their essence, investors, and they withdraw their support. So the long term sustainability is also area of concern. Like if you are not having clear business plan, then there will be a long term sustainability will be a questionable. Seasonal, they are doing seasonal, most of the new startup they are doing seasonal activity, hence they cannot generate monthly revenue, which becomes very difficult to pay out their operation cost and all those things. Another thing is that limited access to quality data. Right now, a lot of tech companies are there, but still the agri startup which are working for farmers and having triple bottom line approach, they are not getting adequate access to quality of data, like weather, sowing, irrigation facility, cropping pattern. All those things are very important in their business. Hence they are finding it difficult to design their business model. So these are some of the challenges. I'll just talk about like what could be the way out. So NBFCs can play a vital role, because NBFCs, they have their reach, they have their strength. So if this sector needs to get adequate finance, then NBFCs should can play a very vital role. We need to design tailor-made loan products for them. Like we cannot have plain vanilla product. The loan product should be based on the nature of the business. For example, if some companies or FPO, or let's say enterprises, are working in seed business, then their stock holding with time will increase. So you need to give bullet payment. If dairy cooperatives or dairy enterprises are there, then your loan product should be different. You cannot see these enterprises or entrepreneurs with same lens. You need to modify it according to their business and nature of their business. Building the capacity of farmer is also very important. Like you need to do lot of capacity building. You need to make them understand about your activities, inputs, what kind of variety they need to sow. You need to tap up the overall ecosystem. Governance system also needs to be transferred. They need to adopt strong internal control system, like to become more sustainable. Collaboration with other stakeholders like tech or NBFCs or any other service provider will become a game changer in this sector. Adoption of technology is also very important, like weather risk insurance. You need to have insurance, and you need to digitize your farm records. All those things will become very important here if you want to achieve long term sustainability. Yeah. Yeah, so this was a small presentation. Maybe if you have any questions or query, then we'll be happy to answer. I hope I was audible.
Yes, sir.
And, yeah.
Yes, sir. So I think we can take the questions in the later, like in the end of the sessions.
Sure.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mohammed Hussain, sir, if you're like, am I audible, sir? Mohammed Hussain, sir?
Yeah. Am I audible now?
Sir, am I audible, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, sir, please turn off. I think you're. Yes, sir, you're audible, sir.
Yeah. So can you share the presentation?
Yes, sir. I'll be sharing the presentation, sir.
Thank you. A very good morning to everyone. This is Hussein from Napkisan Finance Limited. Thank you for inviting Napkisan to be part of the presentation. Are you sharing?
I think it's because of my video. Yes.
Yeah.
I think we have a very.
Napkisan is a subsidiary of NABARD. We've set up in 1997, and besides NABARD, we have equity participation from Government of Tamil Nadu, various other banks. We operate out of our registered office in Chennai and our corporate office in Mumbai. Our primary mandate of NAPKISAN has been FPO financing. Yeah, next one. As you all know, NABARD has been a pioneer in promotion of FPOs, and a corollary to that, NAPKISAN has the mandate of promoting FPO financing. And besides the FPO financing, we are also into financing of startups as well as mature active companies. We also do on lending to NBFCs and MFIs. Next slide. In case anyone is not aware of what a producer organization is, basically a legal entity formed by farmers or dairy farmers or even handicraft artisans or weavers coming together to register themselves as some sort of legal entity. It could be a company, it could be a society, or it could even be a trust. Yeah, next. So why do we need farmer collectives? So basically, a farmer as an individual, he might have his own land, he might have something to offer as a collateral for getting loan. Whereas when farmers come together to form company, the company itself does not have any property of its own. So the FPOs need to. Another thing is that the FPOs will be able to get the advantages of economies of scale, attract traders, get a better bargaining power, get better services in all forms. Yeah. So why does an FPO need funding? So basically, FPO, the farmers have now come together. So they need to be able to do some sort of a business to sustain themselves and grow and progress to sustainable development. So for that, the FPO might need some sort of capital support for meeting the working capital requirements. They may need some sort of support for creating some sort of infrastructure support. However, if we see the FPOs, there are farmers, progressive farmers who come together to form some sort of form FPOs. But then most of the FPOs are promoted by agencies like NABARD, SFAC, and so on. So these agencies only provide support for meeting their institution building and training and capacity building, whereas for business, FPOs have to look outwards. Next. One thing that we need to understand is like individual farmers, so lending to FPOs is highly time sensitive given that most of our agriculture is rainfed. Farmers FPO needs funding at the time of harvesting so that it can procure the output product from its members, or at the time of sowing so that it can procure the inputs and provide them to its members at a cheaper rate. And FPO should be able to carry on its business sustainably. For that, it should be able to have at least 40 to 50% of its farmer members as its regular customers. And then there should not be too many ifs and buts, too many conditions attached for an FPO, because basically the farmers, they just started out into a business. And then understanding that the stiff competition for farmers, there are very low margins. So, and because credit occupies a major portion of their expenses, so it needs to be at an affordable rate. Next. Yeah, coming to the source of funds, initially when the farmers come together, they have their own share capital, they get some sort of borrowings or from their own members, then they get some sort of grant from the promoting agency. But beyond a particular level, they need to rely upon external borrowing, be it from banks or from NBFCs such as NAPKISAN, Samunati, Anani, and FWW. Yeah, next. Yeah. NAPKISAN is among the leading lenders in the FPO ecosystem. We operate across the country. We have linked credit linked more than 2,500 FPOs, and these are basically designed as per the credit requirements of the individual FPOs. So whether it is for working capital or whether it is for term loan or for different crops, so we give this support. And one of the key highlights is that we are able to provide collateral-free loans because we have tie-ups with Government of India's CSS scheme, and then we have also NABARD also, and then our rate is primarily among the lowest rates in the entire market. And as a result of this, you can see the FPOs that we have been able to support. There is almost 100% year-on-year growth in the last 2 years. So even this year, we have already crossed credit support to 500 FPOs. Next. Yeah. So we provide credit support to address all the requirements of the FPO, whether it is for working capital or it's for some sort of a processing facility, some sort of a go down, or if they want to purchase some sort of equipment or something. The working capital is primarily up to 18 months. The infrastructure creation is for 3 to 5 years. Yeah. So coming to the quantum of assistance, how much we can give. So basically, it is a variable of the net worth of the FPO, the share capital, and the reserves of the FPO. So we understand that the credit requirements of the FPO can gradually increase as the FPO progresses from a startup phase to a mature phase and a high potential. So we provide up to 20 times of the net worth of the FPO based upon their age as well as their business performance. Next. So as we provide one of the cheapest rates available in the market, so what we try to do is we try to converge with various government schemes. So for as far as infrastructure creation is concerned, Agri Infrastructure Fund is set up by Government of India. It's a 1 lakh crore fund. So besides the FPOs, even farmers, startups, individual entrepreneurs, many of them are eligible. So basically the scheme caps the interest rate for loans under the scheme at 9%. Besides that, the borrowers will also get a 3% subvention. And more apart from that, we can also do convergence with other government schemes also. So we can maximize the benefit. So this is primarily for post-harvest infrastructure creation. So NAPKISAN being an eligible entity for FPOs, we have supported almost more than 75 FPOs in the last 2 years under the scheme. So the basic eligible activities, if we see, like I said, this is primarily for post-harvest management. primary processing facilities, and this scheme is limited only to agri and allied activities. So while FPOs are eligible for a whole range of activities, there are startups and even individuals can also undertake smart and precision agriculture, drone, remote sensing, adoption of GS technology, and so on. Next. Yeah, besides this, recently we have seen that the news government of India has been promoting adoption of Kisan drone. So even for this, while drone can by itself be availed under agri infrastructure fund at 9%. Apart from this, there is also 40% capital subsidy available from government of India. Next. I just saw someone message that I'm not audible. Am I audible?
You're audible, sir.
Yeah.
All good, sir. Good to go.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Coming to the startup, so besides FPO, which is the main mandate, we also are supporting startups as well as mature agtech companies on a limited scale. So basically, this catalytic capital assistance is enabled by the grant that we have received from NABARD. So this grant is available to NABARD subsidiaries as well as other agribusiness incubation centers which have been promoted by NABARD. This is primarily debt funding to agri startups which are primarily in the valley of debt stage where they are not able to obtain their bootstrapping is done and they are not having enough funds to commercialize their idea, do some sort of a product testing or go to market testing for trade. Even for their day-to-day meeting their requirements for day-to-day operations also, we provide support under this scheme. And the support under this is because it's a limited fund available from NABARD, the maximum support that we can give is 1 crore. Next. Yeah. RUCAT, Superjob, Univia, Balwan, these are some of the startups which have availed fund under the Catalytic Capital Fund. Basically, we are looking out for those startups which have Indian ownership. They are registered with the DPIIT, they have startup certification, they are registered as a private limited company. And it is primarily a preference is given to those startups which are working in the FPO ecosystem, collaborating with FPOs for some sort of technology related support. And then I can also be agriculture and allied activities. So even any other than agriculture, rural areas, any startup is working, we are welcome to support them. Next. So while the support under Catalytic Capital Fund is available only for the startups, and it is available only once. Once the startup matures, it can avail fund under our agri corporate product. And like previous speaker was saying, these products need to be tailor made. We have a lot of flexibility under this wherein our management and can make changes as per the requirements and needs of the borrowing entities. So Pay Agri, DHAT, Safe Harvest, these are some of the entities. While under the Catalytic Capital Fund, there is a limit of 1 crore. Under this scheme, there is no such limit. And there can be multiple rounds of support under this one. Yeah. So that is all for my presentation. So you can reach out to me on these coordinates. We have our website, napkisan.org, and you can also get in touch with our NABARD regional offices wherever you are. Thank you. Yeah, that is all.
Okay, sir. Okay, so we'll move to our third speaker, Nagendra, sir.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir.
Yeah.
Should I share this presentation,
Yes.
sir?
Yes, please.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. I'm sharing.
So in the meantime, good morning, everyone. I'm Nagendra
Yes,
from
sir.
Ananya Finance, and thank you, Manage, for extending this invitation. I have almost 20 years of work experience. I worked with an MFI, large MFI, a large private sector bank. I worked on government projects, and now I'm working with this NBFC called Ananya Finance. So I'm Actually, based on my personal experience of last 20 years, I'm quite bullish on agri, on startups, and the financing space. So I think this session is a convergence of all these three fields. And Ananya gave me a very good opportunity to learn about startup financing. So compared to banks, you have to always innovate while you are with the NBFCs. There are some set formats, some set ratios, everything is there, but still you have to keep customizing. Otherwise, you can't compete with the banks on the interest rates and all. So that was a good opportunity. And uh, and just by the way, I mean, in my last 2 decades, I have worked with alumni of these institutions like IRMA, XIMB, TES, uh, XISS, and all that. And I must tell you that I have high regard for alumni of Manage. I worked with some of them in the past. So that's something that you should keep building on. Please, next slide, please. So Ananya, I mean, it was founded in 2009. It's Ahmedabad-based NBFC, headquartered NBFC. And our parent organization is FWWB, from which we had a speaker, Mr. Himanshu. And So basically, we were into, or we are still into, say, microfinance, micro enterprises. We are giving secured and unsecured loans to smaller micro enterprises. Then we were into FPO financing, SMEs, agri SMEs, and non-agri SMEs as well. So we gave loans to SMEs which were broadly in the impact creating sectors like solid waste management or affordable healthcare or electric vehicles even. So we were having a range of such clients which were operating in different domains. Next slide, please. I won't spend much time upon this because these are the kind of loans we were giving to startups in the agri sectors. Next, please. This is a very interesting slide. Typically when you, as a startup, when you go to a lender, typically say to a bank, normally the bank would look for, certain things just for, you to be an eligible candidate. You need to have certain vintage, say 2 years of audited balance sheet or 3 years of audited balance sheet. You should have certain turnover, a minimum threshold of turnover. You should be profitable. So many things. I mean, and we also maybe some financial ratios, like you should have a positive current ratio, or you should be having slight, say, not more than 3 times of debt equity ratio and all that. We also look at those things, but those are very simple things. You can put those in an Excel and it will throw the results in just 5 minutes. So that is not something which is which underwriting is all about. You have, as a lender, I am more concerned about the risk I'm facing. So some people tell us, sir, you are not lending, you are conservative. Even to NBFCs, they are saying you are conservative. So I am, if I don't lend, I don't earn, I don't make money. So my interest is in lending the money, not sitting over it, not putting the money into FD. I can only make money if I lend money. But if I want to earn 15 rupees on 100 rupees in a year, that's with a certain amount of risk. I am not willing to lose my 100 rupees, or I'm not willing to lose, say, a part of that principal that I've lent. So that is where we put a lot of emphasis on risk. What are the different risks a startup is facing? And everybody will agree that a startup faces more risk than an established organization. So we look at, these are the typical risks that we look at. Buyer concentration. Most of these are, self-explanatory. Buyer concentration, supplier concentration. So if you have not diversified your supplier base, your buyer base, obviously there is a risk. There is a risk. Then product concentration also, there could be a risk. If you are just, especially for agri startups, because of the seasonal climate risk. If you are just focusing on one product, things may go haywire in one particular season, one particular, because of some weather related, climate related issues. Then market risk, price risk. If you're dealing in a commodity for which the market is very restrictive. I remember having given loan to a startup which was dealing in Niger seeds, very specialized commodity. You don't have, compared to say maize or wheat or something for which every household is a consumer. Niger seed is a very specialized commodity, very uh, specialized supply chain is there, very difficult. Then price risk. If you are dealing in a commodity where the price, say compared to wheat, I think you will have higher price volatility in say pulses or soybean or in some other crop. So we'll look at all these risks and try to understand how do we minimize those risks. This is very important from the viewpoint of startups. You should also evaluate all those risks and try to understand why the lender is not giving you money. And if you can, bring in solutions or mitigate those risks in some way, I think lenders would be willing to, at least start giving out some smaller amounts of money. Then loss of asset loss risk, key man risk. If there is only one person who is managing all the things, obviously there is a risk. You know? So we have seen in some cases the promoter, he is managing everything. He's 70 years of age. There is no succession planning. So there is all these things we take into account. So you should, as a startup, you should also evaluate. And then regulatory risk is there. If you are on the wrong side of the law, even by way of negligence, by way of ignorance, it is something we look at. Next slide, please. So I'll just share one case study with you. There was one mentha oil startup working in Uttar Pradesh. So it had a vintage of say less than 1 year. If you go to a bank, they'll straight away reject. They would want maybe 3 years of balance sheet. Sales less than 3 years because it was in that year itself it was incorporated. Capital base, some I think I don't exactly remember, but between 5 and 10 lakhs. So and they were ambitious enough to ask for 2 crores, which would mean the leverage would go exceed 20 times, which is also in financial discipline, and that underwriting thing is a no brainer. I mean, straight away reject. Then price risk. Mentha oil is a very volatile commodity in terms of prices. Every year the traders there, they draw reference from the MCX, rates on the MCX, and then so every day there's a change in the prices. So highly price volatile. Then all the suppliers were farmers, and because they had issues with their KCCs and they were defaulting on some loans, they didn't want to accept money in cash, accept money in their bank accounts. So everybody wanted payments in cash. So that startup had to pay cash to the farmers every day, 10 to 15 lakhs. They have to withdraw from the bank. They have to carry it 10, 15 kilometers to their branch, keep it in the branch, and then make payments to farmers. Again, there's a risk. Then, if your one consignment would be like some 7, 8 tons, it would cost it the price of that one consignment would be some 70, 80, 90 lakhs. So anything happens to that consignment on the way in transit, there's a huge risk. I mean, you can't recover from that financial loss even for next 5, 10 years. Then obviously menthol being such a commodity, you have to assess whether the amount of those derivatives is good enough, whether it will fetch good prices, whether it's not adulterated. So other quality assurance risk is there. Then you are dealing in B2B segment. You will buy crude menthol from farmers, you will sell it to processors. So it's a B2B transaction. In B2B transaction, you will have to give credit 30 days, 60 days. So then there is a risk of, you are a new player. There is a risk of money not coming in, or there's a delay in receipt of receivables. So that is a risk. With so many risks, how do we lend to a you that startup? But we found a solution. Next slide, please. So how did we find the solution is, so basically there was a large confectionery maker, when you buy certain chewing gums and all that, they need mentha oil. Even in toothpaste and all that, you need mentha oil derivatives. So basically, that end user, that was a large group, that what it did, it told its processor, processor are the ones who will buy crude mentha oil and process it into different derivatives. So it told its processor to buy that crude mentha oil from that startup, right, under its CSR or sustainable value chain program, something like that. So then Ananya, it is like more of a basically tying up with different players of the value chain, or loosely, broadly, it can also be called value chain financing. That is very good for startups. So we got into a tripartite agreement with the startup and that processor. Now, how did we tighten the transaction or try to close the loose ends? The startup is provided with testing machines to check the samples, so that risk of quality is now is minimized. Then for advanced testing, actually the samples, each farmer samples are sent to the processor's laboratory before dispatch. So if some samples don't meet the quality criteria, they are rejected. Then on a daily basis, basically, as I told you, the price is volatile. So processor, based on the startup, will tell them this is the price of today's market, should we buy? The processor will say okay, go ahead. So basically there's no price risk, that the startup is not taking any price risk upon itself. Then a fixed margin is given to the startup over procurement price and overhead. So basically, the startup is not facing any kind of price risk. And then what we did is, I mean, the repayment should be made directly from the processor. So we didn't want a situation wherein the processor makes the payment to the startup and a startup diverts the money or uses it for some other purpose. And then we put in some more conditions, like, because they were dealing in cash, they required to take cash insurance. They took it, and it was very helpful. They understood the rationale behind it. Then we asked them to take in transit insurance. Then only we disburse money only against the purchase order, that too in tranches. And the next tranche would only be given after the first tranches or the previous tranches successfully used. So with those all these conditions, actually in 1 year, we were able to disburse 8 crore to that startup which had a capital base of less than 10 lakhs and less vintage of less than 1 year. So this is the beauty of customization, of providing such structured financial solutions, which a large organization actually cannot, because they operate in a different space and they can't do it. So we were able to do it. Next slide, please. Similarly, there is one more example. Since you have the presentation, you can go through it and come back to me later if you don't understand the dynamics of it. So similar, so it's like value chain. You tie up with the different value chain players, and somehow, even when the financials are weak, even when the vintage is not there, so in this case, we were able to finance an SHG, which is through the help of a corporate buyer. SHG is not even an incorporated entity, but we were able to do it. That's the beauty of this, value chain financing. Or next slide, please. Similarly, one more example I am giving, wherein same, buyer, supplier, and with all the weaknesses, we were still able to, go ahead and fund the buyer or supplier. Next, please. So this is the, so in the case of FPO or any other agri startups, what are the kind of things we look at? As I, focus more on the risk management. So we normally, I mean, many organizations or many lenders may not want to have these in place, but we do, like, we discourage sale of agri inputs of credit. Well, it's good for the farmers, but not good for the organization. I mean, unless they have a good, healthy capital base and somehow can buy back the produce from the farmers, it's not good. I mean, it's basically financially very uh, uh, risky bet. Similarly, I mean, even if they want to do it, they should have a clarity who can approve how much to each, what should be the tenor and all that. So if you are extending credit both to your buyers or suppliers, you need to have a very tight credit policy in place. Otherwise, you are risking your financial health. Next, please. Similarly, also, for a startup, I think it's important you have good financial marketing linkages, because if you have good marketing linkages, then there is comfort, additional comfort to the lender, because there is some transaction happening between a large buyer, and we kind of tend to believe that the large buyer will not default on the payments, and this helps. I mean, it will not go back on the promise of whatever prices or whatever quality you had agreed on. So all these things help. Even if you are extending credit, can you take some post-dated check from your buyer, something which can reduce the risk of your transactions with your buyer. That would help. Next, please. So I'm just rushing through these slides in the interest of time. So this receivable financing is again one of the good tools, especially if when you don't have good financials, And for a lender, it's a very good instrument, in the sense there is no fund diversion risk. The fund have already been used, and you are against the invoices you are lending. Performance risk is not there, and basically, since you continue to monitor the receivables by way of looking at the bank statements, you actually tend to look at their liquidity, their orders, the repayment behavior of or payment behavior of their buyers. So it actually is very good for the, and it's like even if you have weak financials, we can go ahead and finance a startup. Next, please. I think we are done.
Yes, sir. We are done, sir.
Sure. So anything, in the question and answer session, if you have any queries, I will be happy to answer. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Because all three speakers have covered the topic at length, and at the same time, they could demonstrate through the experiences as well as the case studies. I hope most of the information related to the sector, how the NBFCs are playing a role, might have been already communicated. There are a few questions, sir. So the first thing first, so what happens many a times, there will be anchor or organizations will be working with SHGs. So let's say a startup is working with the SHGs and getting work done by SHGs for the products, or a startup is working with the FPOs. So is there a kind of financing available for these kind of a startups, sir? It can be addressed by all three, sir. Yes,
Yeah.
please.
So, see, SHGs, in our experience, the organizations, FPOs or startup, if they are having any kind of linkages with SHGs, then we observe that they have more clear vision, and their procurement and all those things are sorted, because SHGs are as groups which are aware about this community collective principles. So in SHGs, it's a smaller group. So yes, the finance is available, and if they are working with SHGs, then they will have strong network with farmers. Like they will not have to spend more time in convincing the farmer, because they need to convince the SHGs, because SHGs are aware about community collective principles like governance, record keeping. So the organization which are working with SHGs is more likely to convince the farmers in best manner, because they have to just deal with SHGs. So it's a good model to work with through SHGs rather than focusing on individual farmers, because your many of the farmers related issues will be sorted out if you work with SHGs. Collective power is there, cohesiveness amongst farmers are there in SHGs, so they can leverage that principles of SHGs and that uniqueness of SHGs. And of course, finance is available for startups which are working through SHGs. In fact, there will be much interest of investor if you are working with women SHGs. At FWLB, our main focus is to work with women farmers. So, like other lenders like us, development finance initiatives they will find it very easy to work with women SHGs.
Yeah, if
Thank you
I
very
may
much, sir.
add to what,
Please,
yeah,
please, sir. Please add, sir.
yeah,
Please.
yeah. If I may add, so like one of the products that we have catalytic capital fund and even the other product for mature active companies. We give actually preference to those startups which are actually working with FPOs or even SHGs are fine. So because our mandate is FPO financing, so we can also look for some sort of a tie-up between the FPOs that we are working with and the startups if they require some sort of linkage with the FPOs.
And it will be beneficial for FPO ecosystem also, because they will get that experience of supplying to any startup. And as I was mentioning in my presentation, you need to collaborate with other stakeholders. So you cannot leave SHGs or the civil societies like SHGs, FIGs, FPOs. If agri startup want to have a long term sustainability, then they need to sort that procurement and supply chain management. So FPOs are also looking for forward linkages, and agri startup are also looking for procurement and inputs. So that will be a great model if they've mandate is to work with SHG and FPOs. So we are also looking at startup which are having linkages with FPOs and which are building the FPO ecosystem rather than working with isolated farmers.
Just one,
Thank you.
one,
Thank you very
one
much,
thing.
sir.
Yeah, just one thing from my side. So we have
Please,
lent
please, sir.
to we have lent to producer companies, cooperatives, SHGs, even in the SME space to partnership firms, proprietorship firms, mutual benefit trusts. So it is. I mean, I might add that we are kind of we can be organizational or the legal entity agnostic, as long as I am convinced that the risks are adequately covered and there's a good business model, I can go ahead and lend, whether it's an SHG or any other startup.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So what we do, sir, next probably for 5-6 minutes, there are questions we take directly from our attendees. So I'll start with some of them raise their hands already. We'll start with the first one. So we have Kalai Gandhi. So we will unmute Kalai Gandhi. Kalai Gandhi, can you hear us? Hello? Mr. Ashok Reddy? Okay. Ashok Reddy, Kalai
Can you able
Gandhi.
to hear me? Yeah, can
Yeah,
you able to
Ashok
hear
here.
me?
Yes, yes,
Ashok
we can
here.
hear you, sir, please.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So the topic is really very interesting. I am the one attending first time this kind of meeting. Thank you very much. My doubt is not directly related to agri startup. The thing is, I'm a farmer doing almost for a decade in the farming system, but I'm having the produce like a kapok cotton that we call it as in Tamil Ilavam Panje. Very small hamlet. It's like Molakadai, Andipati district, Andipati Taluk, Thani district, Tamil Nadu. I'm having producers almost for a year in my hand. I'm finding the buyers from different segment. No one is coming forward, and they expect they are significant right buyer for my producers. Sir.
Mr. Kalai Gandhi.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So you are from Thane district. So while NAPKISAN cannot directly, probably I'll suggest you that you can get in touch with the NABARD supported Agribusiness Incubation Center, which is in TNAU Madurai, Madurai Agribusiness, MABIF Madurai. So it is, they help to link individuals, farmers, FPOs with various startups. So you can probably get in touch with them to see how best you can get in touch with buyers. So they have a WhatsApp group and they have various steps. You can probably get in touch with Mabif.
Sir, I have tried through internet facilities. Even I have approached the Tamil Nadu Agri University in Coimbatore also. They are giving some contacts, and no one is turning up to buy the producers immediately because they are just delaying for a month, even for almost 6 months. I'm still waiting. No one is coming forward the right way of processing. So the thing is, I'm having almost 4-5 tons of kapok silk. There is a difficulty for storing, and even further agri activity also it is disturbing me. This is what the concern for me I wanted to ask you.
We understand, sir. Thank you. We understand. It is heartening to hear it. So kindly note that. So of course, the ecosystem always try to help farmers. So whatever in the name of startups, incubators, we do ultimately to do good for farmer. However, there is a limited role by incubators or ecosystem because we are facilitators. Where there is a money is involved, there is always the debate on how much money should be paid, how much farmer should get, how much a buyer should get. Probably that would always debate for continuing. So what we do, sir, we'll be dropping our mail ID here. Kindly write to us. We'll see what best we can do to connect to the people because the manager has a network with incubators as well as other ecosystem partners. But we'll definitely see what best we can do to take it forward. We'll take the next question. We'll go to the roots goods. Sachin, can you hear us? Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, please, please. Hello? Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you, please.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Mr. Shiva, and thanks for organizing this event. It was very helpful for us. For speakers, again, thanks for all the three speakers. So my question is, my name is Sachin, and we are running a company called Root Good Private Limited. So we have built a SaaS platform, sir, where we are providing a quality assessment certificate, and we are managing the quality from farm till the warehouse of the buyers, especially the processing units. And the crop that we are focusing now is maize, and we are working in Karnataka and Telangana. We are working with around 13 FPOs in Karnataka and 2 FPOs in Telangana, especially in Hyderabad region. We are working with government of Karnataka and government of Telangana also. So the challenge that we're facing is that, sir, when farmers are sharing information in the form of images and the geo information where the farm is, and then we provide them the certificate, a quality certificate, and based on that quality certificate, we do matchmaking between farmers and buyers. And then the third aspect is then when this quality certificate is provided to the buyers are saying the quality certificate is good, but please give us an opportunity to test it one more time in our warehouse, which means that they are basically asking us to pay the farmer and then bring it to their warehouse, and after 3 days they will pay us. So this is the model that they're asking, and that we are actually doing. They are actually working with the FPOs as we speak. There is a harvest of maize is going on in Karnataka, and we are doing this same procedure with them. So now the challenge is we have raised working capital of close to 50 lakhs, and this 50 lakhs can be used for paying farmer, and then we have to wait for 3 days. And this is the cap that we can work on. So we are already generating revenue. This is 5th year that we are running the company, and we have generated so far net revenue of around 38 lakhs last year. Net revenue. I'm not talking about the gross merchandise value that they pay farmer also. That is not. I'm not considering that. So this is the status. So we want one of the presentations from Mr. Waghela. He mentioned that there is a possibility of having an escrow account. So that would be very interesting because we are trying to explore that opportunity. So what could be the best best way to connect, sir? Either with NAPKISAN or also with Ananya through Mr. Hussain and Mr. Vagela. So this is my question. Or what do you and the second question is, what do you guys think about it, what the model that we are working, and how do you think we should scale? Thanks.
Yeah, so we can connect over phone or email. Maybe we'll discuss with you and the model which you are working. See, right now, to be very honest with this tech and all, because farmers and FPO are not at that stage. Like they cannot have that kind of they are not trusting the companies, or they are fighting their own battles. So the tech and all, they have great futures, but right now they need to invest more in convincing the farmers to build their product, to provide the good services, because FPOs and farmers, they are finding it very difficult to converge with this tech companies. We have tried also with some of the tech which are they are providing weather services and all those things, but it's become very difficult. They are not part of that value chain currently as far as farmers and FPOs are concerned. So we are hoping that in near future the farmers and FPOs will have more trust towards this agtech company, and we'll see more convergence. But right now the stage is that farmers and FPOs are finding they are just surviving for themselves. Like they just pull the product and sell it. That is what they are all concerned about. They don't want all kind of this value addition or a convergence with other companies. So we need to be hopeful that in near future it will happen, because otherwise it will become very difficult to make this sector sustainable. Whether it's FPO, agri startup, technologies and all need to be brought in, otherwise it will be very difficult. But currently it is not at that stage at FPOs and farmer level.
From
Thank you,
Hussein
sir.
from NAPKISAN.
Yes, sir. Please, sir.
Yeah, Hussein from NAPKISAN. So since his query was addressed to NAPKISAN as well, we can definitely look around to how we can explore how we can work together, sir. So you can drop us a mail. My coordinates have been given in the chat box, and my mobile number also have shared. So you can also get in touch with us. Thank you.
Nowadays, you don't have to, do a lot of paperwork with the banks to open escrow accounts. There are digital escrow account providers like Castler and all. So it's very easy now. You can work with them and they'll arrange a digital escrow account, and it should be easy to work with the lenders and your buyer.
And it will vary from bank to bank also. Like we have tried with some other bank, but it was not possible. So all those things will play a part in it. But as it becomes very easy compared to previous years.
Thank you, sir. I think with this we'll conclude. There are a few questions are there, and furthermore, they want to know what are the interest rates and everything. We are providing the contact details through mail ID. So please make sure you can talk to them. So all the attendees who are here, we joined the meeting today. We'll get a mail with all the contact details of all the three speakers, their presentations. Thank you very much for joining here, sir. And we've also posted feedback link. So we'll be mailing also. Kindly make sure you fill it. Thank you very much for joining, sir. All three speakers taking up time, especially in the last moment, and making it a very fruitful discussion. With this, we conclude for webinar today. We look forward to our next webinar at the same time at 11 o'clock in the morning in the next Saturday. Thank you very much. We wish you all the best. Have a great day
Thank you.
ahead.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.